Ever get that feeling? Like you dive into a topic, maybe for fun, maybe for work, and suddenly you're just, whoa, there's a lot more to this than I thought.
Totally. It's like the deeper you go, the more you realize how much you don't know.
Exactly. It's almost funny, right? The paradox of knowledge or something like that.
Spot on. The more you learn, the more you realize just how much is still out there, which honestly is kind of exciting when you think about it.
So for today's deep dive, we're tackling this whole idea, this paradox, and we've got some intriguing stuff to unpack.
We do. We're looking at excerpts from Toulouse, which, by the way, gets deep into this very concept. But first, if I could just jump in, doesn't it always feel like the more you discover, the more questions pop up?
All the time. Like I was just saying, you start out feeling kind of smart, then bam, it's like, oh, I know nothing. Makes me think of that quote, the more you learn, the more you realize how little you know. Classic, but who actually said that?
Often credited to Socrates, though it's one of those ideas that seems to echo throughout history. But what's fascinating to ME is how relevant it still feels even today, especially with the explosion of information we're swimming in.
Right. Makes you wonder if Socrates had any idea. Okay, but back to Urshu for a sec. It tackles this head on, doesn't it?
It does. It talks about how gaining knowledge isn't just about accumulating facts. It's about understanding the vastness of what we don't know.
Which honestly can be a bit intimidating. What's been your biggest takeaway from exploring this whole paradox thing?
You know, for me, it's about embracing that humility, accepting that none of us can know everything. It's more about staying curious, always being open to new information, new perspectives.
It's like that feeling when, okay, imagine this. You're a kid, right? And you think you're so good at something. Like I was convinced I was a world-class tree climber. Then one day, I see this older kid effortlessly scaling this massive oak, doing flips and stuff. I realized right then I had a lot to learn about tree climbing.
And that's precisely the point Sitchi drives home. There's a passage about this scholar who thinks he's mastered calligraphy. Then he stumbles upon these ancient scrolls filled with techniques he'd never even imagined. It completely upends his entire understanding.
That's got to be both exciting and terrifying at the same time.
Absolutely. It's that realization that we're always standing on the edge of the unknown. And that's what makes the pursuit of knowledge so compelling, so humbling.
It's like each new thing we learn opens up a whole bunch of new doors, new questions to explore.
Exactly. It's not a straight line to enlightenment. It's more like a jungle gym, maybe. You're constantly climbing, exploring, sometimes even backtracking.
Love that analogy. It's not about reaching a destination. It's about the journey of discovery itself.
And that's something we could all benefit from remembering, not just in our personal lives, but on a global scale.
Whoa, now you're getting deep. What do you mean by that?
Well, think about it. If we approach challenges with the understanding that we don't have all the answers, that there's always more to learn, it opens us up to collaboration, to innovation. It allows us to be more flexible, more adaptable in a world that's constantly changing.
That's actually a really interesting way to look at it. So it's not just about knowing more stuff. It's about how we approach the very act of learning itself.
Exactly. It's about fostering that intellectual humility, that constant curiosity. It's about understanding that the pursuit of knowledge is a lifelong journey, not a destination.
Definitely gives you a lot to think about. Well, that's about all the time we have for today's deep dive.
Until next time.
Keep those brains buzzing.